With a landmass 3 times that of Texas, but with a population, just 57,000, able to fit comfortably inside an NFL stadium, Greenland has long been a forgotten outpost. No more. The world's largest island is suddenly the belle of the geopolitical ball, with outsized consequences. President Trump offered to buy the territory from the Danish government that controls it. When his overtures were dismissed as absurd, Trump doubled down and now declines to rule out force, also vowing to acquire Greenland, quote, one way or the other. It makes for strange and scary times for the predominantly indigenous Inuit population. We bundled up and then trundled up to tour a bitingly cold place in what is suddenly a hot neighborhood.
The story will continue in a moment.
Who knows for how much longer, but for now, Greenland truly might be the last frontier. All snow-dusted mountains and icebergs, blazing blue and sometimes the size of cruise ships that come lazing down the fjords. Greenland has been part of the Danish kingdom for 300 years, though the capital Nuuk sits closer to New York than it does to Copenhagen, and the towns and villages cling only to the coastline, with no roads connecting them. You're better off cross-country skiing the terrain, as does Melina Abelson, a former finance minister and a native Greenlander. The spotlight cast on her homeland is, she says, overwhelming.
This is new for us, and we probably have to get used to the attention. It's so much more intense at the moment.
And it's intense because why specifically?
It's intense because the whole world order is changing.
She's currently chairperson of the largest company in the territory, Royal Greenland, a leader in fishing, an industry that accounts for more than 90% of the territory's exports. Doing business here, on top of the world, gives a whole new meaning to the phrase weather dependent.
So when people come to Greenland, they can get very frustrated when they say, oh, my flight was delayed with 5 hours. And I say 5 hours, that's not a delay. 5 weeks is a delay. So you kind of have to adapt because otherwise you are not able to survive here in Greenland.
The territory is lodged between North America and Europe. So massive it encompasses 3 time zones, yet so sparse that in one of those time zones the listed population is 8. But determined to explore, we headed south from Nuuk by plane. We were prepared for delays. Less so the annihilating cold on a boat ride across a fjord. The temperature that balmy morning, minus 12 Fahrenheit. Our destination, the Plymouth Rock of Greenland.
Greenland was settled by Eric the Red, so named as much for his fiery temper as his fiery beard. Banished from his native Norway, he headed west and ended up right around here in 982. He was a fearless and fearsome frontiersman. Eric the Red was also a slick marketer and salesman. This vast patch of ice, he named it Greenland in hopes of luring investors, farmers, and other settlers. 1,000 years later,
we will make you rich, and together we will take Greenland to heights like you have never thought possible before.
A different kind of sales pitch, this to a joint session of Congress last month.
And I also have a message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland. We strongly support your right to determine your own future.
We saw your faces at Congress grinning about Greenland.
Akwalik Linga, an elder Inuit statesman, once represented the Arctic population at the United Nations. For him, Trump's Greenland fixation is more than troubling, it's offensive.
When he mentioned Greenland, like it was a toy or something.
You noticed that?
We all noticed that in Greenland, all of us. And it was ugly.
When President Trump first made eyes at Greenland in 2019, on the island it had the effect of fueling a spirit of independence, a reassessment of the relationship with Denmark, which pumps in around $800 million a year, but also, historically, imposed its values on Inuit culture. The coupling of Denmark and Greenland, well, it's complicated.
It's like a forced marriage, if you can say so. At least it was from the Greenlandic side, because we have never been asked if we want to be part of the Danish kingdom. Then we have a lover coming into the relationship, and that lover is pointing at one and saying, oh, I really, really like your wife there. And that's when you saw that there was whole dynamic change between Denmark and Greenland.
Should we keep going with that analogy? Are you attracted to the lover?
I think that some people got a little attracted, and they thought, oh, that could be much better. That lover looks so rich and powerful. But we have also seen how our Inuit cousins live in Alaska and how they were treated. We definitely do not want to go down that road.
In the city, such as it is of Nuuk, population 20,000, locals turned out last month for a demonstration, a remarkable show of unity for a country so spread out and historically so measured. The rally included newly elected Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen.
And it's all clear that we stand together. No matter what political color you have, we stand together in this issue. Greenland is for Greenlanders, not for anybody else.
The demonstration ended outside an old wooden cottage that serves as the American consulate. Per one recent poll, just 6% of the local population favor U.S. control. The loudest pro-American voice we encountered was an American, the founder of the Bikers for Trump.
My name's Chris Cox. I'm from the United States, and I've come here to try to make some friends.
On his own dime and own time, Cox came to Greenland from his home in Charleston, South Carolina, a Trump evangelist on an unofficial mission.
We're not looking at you like a tiger looks at a gazelle wanting to pounce on you.
What have you learned about this place?
I've learned that it's very unique people. They're a docile people. They're a peaceful people.
The U.S. has long been enthralled by Greenland. In the 1860s, the Gilded Age of Empire, when land masses were bought and sold like horses and buggies, talk first surfaced of America acquiring the territory.
As Greenland is the best source of prediction for Europe's weather.
During the Second World War, Americans were given control of Greenland. They built 17 military bases. The most significant, Bluey West 1 in Narsarsuaq in the south of the territory, was a crucial stop-off before D-Day. When the Americans shut the base down in the 50s, they didn't much clean up after themselves. These drums remain today. But so does a military museum celebrating America's presence here. On display, images of proud American airmen, some of whom left a literal legacy.
There's a strong, long relationship with the Americans. And as I am one of them, or what can you say, my grandmother had a child with the American soldier from Narsarsuaq. I am a product of that relationship.
You're 1/4 American, essentially.
That's correct.
After the war, President Truman tried to buy Greenland for $100 million in gold. Denmark declined, but the two countries did sign a 1951 treaty, it still stands today, giving broad license for the U.S. military to operate in Greenland.
Even in the icebound Arctic, America is making certain of her defenses.
Today, Thule, now called Pitifik Space Base, figures critically in U.S. anti-missile defense and was the site of Vice President Vance's recent visit.
And apparently I'm the first vice president to ever visit Greenland, so that's a pretty cool thing.
A visit that triggered the firing of the base commander for, in the eyes of the Trump administration, not showing sufficient support for the U.S. agenda there. The administration maintains that acquiring Greenland is essential for world security. As ice caps melt and the Arctic trade routes and new sea lanes become more important, U.S. control would thwart Russia and China's access. Trump has derided Denmark for not being up to the job. But why would the current administration seek to acquire a place where America has always been so welcomed? In Copenhagen, political scientist Ole Wever questions the entire premise of Trump's aggressive stance.
Bottom line is the Americans are militarily on Greenland as much as they want.
So if President Trump said, we want to do X in Greenland, outside of this realm of buying or annexing or seizing, we need to put up a base in Greenland.
They wouldn't get a no.
They wouldn't get a no?
No.
So what's going on here?
That's a good question. And everyone is scratching their heads in Copenhagen and Nuuk as well.
For all the head scratching, the consequences could be severe.
To invade and annex a part of another member country, then it would be necessary in the next NATO meeting to say by everyone else that this is a violation of everything we know.
This would blow NATO to pieces.
It would. It is just a violation that is just one bridge further than anything we have seen so far.
Wever also joins the chorus of those worrying that if the U.S. annexes Greenland, it would rewrite the rules for international relations. Ukraine invaded by Russia, or China potentially taking over Taiwan. Incursions like these play differently if we're now in a might-makes-right world. Apart from geostrategy, the U.S. does offer another reason for acquiring Greenland. It's that time-honored justification for empire building: riches. Lots of riches. There are minerals in Greenland, but getting to them, like getting anything and anywhere here, is a mission in itself. We join Elder Olafsson, CEO of Amarok Minerals, which operates one of the 2 active mines in Greenland.
I think there are mines in this world that are easier to get to. Certainly, yes.
The Trump inner circle portrays Greenland as a bonanza, a cookie jar of commodities and natural resources. Gold, zinc, copper, and rare earth minerals seen as essential for the future world economy.
We noticed this mine, which was still in production then.
Mines across Greenland have come and gone over the centuries, largely because of the logistical challenges. But with gold prices at all-time highs, Olafsson estimates that with prudent planning and patience, there is $150 million a year to be made from this mine.
So we're going into the mountain now.
Yeah, so we're going into and up, which is quite rare in today's mining world.
Not for the claustrophobic, it's a bumpy 30-minute ride through sinuous tunnels.
You just haphazardly picked up this shard, but I can see with the naked eye, you can see all the gold there.
Yes.
How much gold is in this gold belt?
We can't say for certain because we would have to drill it all out. This is completely untested. So dozens of millions of ounces potential for sure.
Millions of ounces of gold here in Greenland potentially.
Yeah.
There may be gold in them there hills, but geologists we consulted were deeply skeptical of the promise of any natural resource jackpot in Greenland. Plenty of other countries, America included, have just as many, if not a lot more, untapped minerals. Regardless of who ultimately controls Greenland, foreign investment into sectors like mining is, and always has been, welcome. Consistent with a catchphrase we heard repeatedly: we're not for sale, but we are open for business. Still, this vast land has been thrown vastly off balance.
Is there any sense that this is just about the ambition to expand and plant a flag, and this isn't about bases and resources?
Yeah, but that's what concerns me. We're talking about people who lives here. It's disrespectful.
Aqualuk Lunga has a more defiant message still.
If you should try something in the Arctic, you should be very careful. I think we should say ice is slippery.